Hello, everyone. So one of my customers contacted me over the weekend, and they told me that they were considering getting a Dissipator, an AR-15 Dissipator, and they wanted my opinion on if this would be a good first AR-15 for them. Okay, so I already knew something about the Dissipator, and I did a little bit more research. And since it's fresh in my mind, I thought I'd share this information with you guys. Okay, so what we call the Dissipator is basically the Colt 605, and this was the very first modification that Colt did to the original AR-15/M16. Okay, so this is not one. I'm just using this as an example. So the original M16, 20-inch barrel, okay, rifle length gas system. Okay, so what that means is that the gas block is about 12 inches forward of the receiver. Okay, so 12 inches forward of the receiver, and you've got about 9 inches of dwell time. So what that means is when the bullet comes up, as soon as it passes that gas that porthole, right, the hole, this 9 inches from here to here is the time that the gas has to come up the gas block and come back down through the gas tube and cycle your bolt. Okay, so this section here between the gas block and the end of the barrel is really important for pressurizing the gas tube and cycling the bolt carrier. Okay, so what happened is they got this 20-inch this AR-15 now, or M16, with a 20-inch barrel. And pretty quickly people said, hey, we want something that's a little bit shorter. Okay, so this is before the CAR-15, right? That comes later on. So basically what Colt decided to do is, without too many other modifications, just cut down the barrel from 20 inches to 15 inches, right? So they cut down 15 inches. They had to cut off the bayonet lug in order to accommodate this. And now what that means is you've only got 3 inches of dwell time, right? So between your gas block and the end of the barrel, you've only got 3 inches. So that's not enough pressure to reliably cycle the bolt carrier. So in order for this to work, what they had to do is they had to drill a bigger porthole, right, for the gas to come out and cycle the gun. Okay, so those are the two modifications that they made to the original AR-15/M16. Cut the barrel from 20 inches to 15 inches and make a bigger porthole so more gas can escape, cycle the bolt. Okay. So everything else is the same. They didn't change buffer weights. They didn't change anything else. That's the only thing that they made. Now, interesting thing here is that when I was, growing up in the 70s, 80s, and I was looking at the news, and I was looking at different, movies and shows on TV that featured M16s, it seemed to me that almost all of them, as far as I can remember, were basically these Dissipators, right? Because and the reason I say this is because when I bought my first M4, right, in mid 2000s, right, I think somewhere around 2006, 2007, when I bought my first one, I thought it was a little strange that there was so much space between the front sight post and the end of the barrel. Okay, so this seemed a little odd to me because growing up, I remember seeing the front sight post, closer to the end of the barrel. Okay, so that's what looked normal to me. I'm not saying that is normal or that's what other people perceive, but that was just my perception. Okay, so that's what your Dissipator is. It's a Colt 605. The name Dissipator, I tried to look it up. I could not find any information on how it got the name Dissipator. Okay, so the term dissipate means for something to gradually fade away. Okay, so I cannot see how that would apply to a gun. It's not like you're going to shoot a threat, and it's going to gradually fade away. That's not what happens. I mean, you would think that it somehow refers to the gun cooling down, which doesn't make any sense because they cut down the barrel to 15 inches, but they didn't change the length of the handguard. Okay, so I would think that the barrel is going to cool down at the same rate. Right? I don't think there will be a significant difference there. But that's what the Colt 605 is. Okay, and this predates the AR-15, right? So the AR-15 came later on. You know, that's where you have your 10 inch and your 11.5 inch barrels, and then they came up with the carbine, the carbine buffer. Okay, this is before that. Okay, so they're still using a rifle length gas system, rifle length buffer, right? Everything is the same. They just chop down the barrel from to 15 inches and give it a larger porthole. Okay. Now, if you're thinking of buying a Dissipator, be aware that there are lots of fakes out in the market. Okay, and Palmetto makes them. You know, I've got lots of Palmettos, but the one that Palmetto sells, and I think that I also looked up Windham, the one that they sell is also fake. And most of the ones out there are going to be fake. Now, what do I mean by fake? Okay, so in order for a Dissipator to be a true Colt 605, it has to have that rifle length gas system. Okay, so what that means is that the gas block is going to be 12 inches down, okay, or 12 inches forward from your receiver. So what they do with most of these fakes is the front sight post is really not a gas block; it's a fake. Okay, they put actually a carbine length, low profile gas block inside the grip. Okay, so your gas block is actually right here somewhere, right? On that. In most cases, they're not selling you a 15 inch. They're selling you a 16 inch. So you got a real gas block that's in here somewhere, right? That's sending the gas back. Okay, and then this is just a front sight post. It's not a true gas block. Okay? I mean, it might actually, have the whole of a gas block, but it's not actually doing any work, right? So it's got a gas block inside that's being utilized, and then it's got this fake or unused gas block in the front that's really being used just as a front sight post. Okay, so my suggestion is that if you want a Dissipator, right? First of all, know why you're buying it. You're buying it to get a retro clone, basically. Okay, so you're getting it with the carry handle. You're getting it with the fixed stock in the back. Make sure that it has a true rifle length gas system. Okay, don't bother getting one of these fake ones that have really a carbine length gas system. Get the real one. Now I looked it up. I think Brownell's actually sells. I don't know if they sell a complete upper, but they'll sell the barrel, and then you can kind of build it yourself. Okay, get it with the 15-inch barrel. Okay, get it with the rifle length gas system. Of course, if you buy the one from Brownell's, I'm pretty sure it's going to have the right port size so that it will cycle your rifle length gas system. Okay, so buy it with the 15 inches, so it's a true retro. Now, are you going to SBR this or not? Regardless of what you plan to do, right? Remember, you can build the upper and just keep it separate and not mount it to any lower. Okay, so what you could do, okay, is you could build a proper clone, right, with the 15-inch barrel, with the rifle length gas system, and just keep it separate, okay, until down the road at some point, right, at some point in the future, you decide to either SBR it or until SBRs come out of the NFA, because that's something that's in discussion, right? It's possible that the SBRs may come out of the NFA, in which case it's no longer an issue. Okay, and if you want to shoot it, what you could do is you could put that on a pistol lower, right? A braced pistol lower. Okay, and while you're waiting for all these things with the NFA to work out, you could also build yourself just an original retro 20-inch AR-15, right? 20-inch barrel, rifle length gas system, full length, rifle buffer tube, okay? And then what would happen is down the road, if you SBR or if the SBRs come out of the NFA, you could simply swap that 15-inch upper onto that rifle lower. Okay, so putting some ideas out there. I'm not telling you to do one thing or the other thing, but here's the thing. The main thing I wanted to get across here is that if you're going to buy a dissipator, make sure that it's 15-inch barrel, and make sure that it's a rifle length gas system, because if you're not, I mean, there's really no point to it. Okay, if you're not, if you're gonna get one that's got a carbine length gas system, then you might as well just because you're gonna pay a lot more money to get this dissipator, right, or this fake dissipator. So either buy it or build it so that it's a true clone, okay, or don't get that. Get something else. Okay, that's what my opinion is on that. I mean, what could be the possible benefits of a dissipator or this rifle length in 15-inch barrel? Because it's a rifle length, maybe it's a little smoother shooting. I mean, I've heard people say that that's how it feels to them. That's one of those things that that could be easily modified one way or the other by putting a heavier buffer weight or a lighter buffer weight, changing the buffer spring. So that's a really, that's something that's really kind of hard to put your finger on. Okay, how it's going to feel. But that's a possible reason why somebody may want to shoot a rifle length gas system in a 15-inch barrel. I don't know. I mean, quite honestly, for me, myself, regardless where because I got lots of ARs, whether it's got carbine length, mid-length, or rifle length, I can barely tell the difference, okay? And, especially if you start, like, mixing and matching different buffer weights, and if you got an adjustable gas block, I mean, there's too much of a crossover there for me to say that, hey, rifle length is going to feel like this, carbine length is going to feel like that, mid length is going to feel like that. I'll go as far as to say that the pistol length ones, yeah, those are, because it's such a short gas system, yeah, that's very punchy. I mean, that's the only place where I really feel a difference if I'm shooting. If I'm shooting like an AR pistol, 7.5-inch barrel, with however long that gas system is. I think it's something like 4 inches. I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah. Now, my recommendation to this guy: you're buying your first AR-15. No, do not buy this. Okay, don't buy this dissipator. Even though it might sound badass to you, no, don't buy that. Get yourself just go to Palmetto's website. Get yourself a $500 AR-15 with a free floated rail. That's going to give you a lot more flexibility. You'll be able to put optics on that. You'll be able to try out different things. One of the benefits I've heard of the dissipator was that for having a plastic handguard, it basically maintained the same sight radius, right? Because that didn't get I mean, if you get, here's the thing, if that's your thing that you want, if you want like maximum sight radius on iron sights, I mean, you can get yourself a rail that goes all the way to the end of the barrel, right? A free floating rail, and you can put flip up sights on that if that's the thing you want to do, right? If that's the main thing that you're chasing after. Okay. But the only purpose that I see for buying a dissipator, a Colt 605, is if you're really into retro stuff, right? You want to have a retro gun, but in order for it to be a true retro gun, right, it needs to have 15-inch barrel and a rifle length gas system. Okay, that's the only reason I would get a dissipator. And if it's not going to be a true clone like that, don't get it. Get something else. Okay, so drop some comments. I'll talk to you all soon.